There's something no John Deere dealership will ever tell you, so I will. The greatest name in farm equipment has built some of the finest tractors in history, and a few machines that'll empty your wallet by supper time. And with used prices where they are right now, plenty of you are shopping auctions and dealer lots, staring at 50 years of green paint, trying to figure out which machines earned the legend and which ones are just wearing the costume. Well, I've run green iron my whole life, same as my dad and his dad before him, so consider this the talk you'd get across a shop bench, not across a sales desk. Today, I'm naming both sides, 5 to walk away from, 4 worth every penny, including one that actually got more expensive with age. Do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button, and let's get into it. Number 1. John Deere 2010. The 2010 came out in 1960 as part of Deere's famous New Generation gamble, the moment the company bet everything on modern multi-cylinder engines and killed off the old 2-cylinder Johnny Poppers. The 4010 from that same launch became one of the most important tractors of the century. The 2010, built at a different factory with different engineering, became a warning label. Start with the engine. Deere tried a clever design where a deck plate sat on top of the cylinder sleeves, sealed with rubber O-rings, instead of a conventional one-piece block arrangement. It looked smart on the drawing board. In the field, those seals aged. Coolant found its way into the oil. Sleeves shifted and cracked, and engines died young, sometimes before the paint faded. Deere abandoned that design after this tractor and never went back to it. And when a company walks away from its own idea that fast, that tells you everything you need to know. Then add the hydraulics, weak, slow, and quick to give up under a real load, which on a roughly 47 horsepower utility tractor meant she struggled at the exact job she was sold to do. And it wasn't a rare mistake either. Deere built tens of thousands of 2010s across her 1960 to 1965 run, which is exactly why she makes the list in 2026. They show up at auctions constantly, and they go cheap. Real cheap. Some fella sees a genuine John Deere for pocket change and thinks he's found a bargain. He hasn't. He's found a machine with deep design flaws, a thin part supply, and repair bills that never end. The cruelest part? Her big sister, the 4010, came from the same launch, the same years, the same brochures, and turned out to be one of the finest tractors Deere ever built. Same paint, same badge, opposite story. Let the other guy win that auction. Number 2, John Deere 1010, and parked right beside her on the auction lot. You'll usually find her little brother, the 1010, built those same years, 1960 to 1965. Around 35 horsepower, aimed at the small farmer who wanted into the new generation without the new generation price. And I'll say it plain, the 1010 took most of the 2010 sins and shrunk them down to fit a smaller frame. Underpowered for her weight, hard on her own engine, fussy hydraulics, and a reputation among mechanics that was set in concrete before she turned 5 years old. Talk to the fellas who wrenched on these back in the day and watch their faces when you say, the model number. A mechanic's wince is worth more than any brochure ever printed because he's the one who saw what the warranty claims look like. And time has been crueler to the 1010 than to most, because here's the trap. Parts. Deere supports its legends beautifully. You can practically build a 4020 from a catalog, but the company didn't keep every shelf stocked for the machines it would rather forget. A lot of what a 1010 needs today is scarce, expensive, or coming off a rusted donor tractor in somebody's fence row. Now I know what some of you are thinking, because I thought it once too. She's small, she's cheap, she'd be fine for mowing and puttering around the place. A buddy of mine bought one about 10 years back, $5,000, proud as could be. By the second summer, he'd spent 3 times that keeping her breathing, and half his weekends were under her instead of on her. A hobby tractor that's broke down half the year isn't a hobby. It's a burden with a paint job. If you want a small vintage Deere for light work, there are far better years to buy. This isn't one of them. Number 3, John Deere 8010. This one is the most spectacular failure in John Deere history, and hardly anybody's heard of her. In 1959, Deere stunned the industry with the 8010, a gigantic articulated 4-wheel drive machine weighing nearly 25,000 pounds and making over 200 horsepower in an era when a big tractor made 70. She was a full decade ahead of her time. The problem is, she was also a full decade ahead of her engineering. And here's a detail that'll win you a bet at the coffee shop. That giant tractor didn't even have a John Deere engine in her. Deere dropped in a two-stroke Detroit diesel from General Motors, the GM 671, a screaming truck and equipment engine, because they had nothing of their own that big. She had air brakes that failed, a transmission that couldn't take the strain, and rear ends that gave out under the very load she was built to pull. The price tag sat near $30,000 at a time when that kind of money bought a nice farm outright. The failures came fast and public, and Deere ended up taking nearly all of them back, rebuilding them into the improved 80-20, and trying again. It didn't matter. The damage was done, and all told, only about 100 of these machines were ever built. For a company Deere's size, that's not a product line. That's a public apology. So why is she on a list of tractors you can buy? Because every so often, one surfaces at a collector auction and the bidding goes insane. She's so rare that the failure itself became the value, with restored examples bringing hundreds of thousands of dollars, more money than a whole fleet of honest working tractors. And that's the lesson worth chewing on. Rare doesn't mean good. If you're a museum or a millionaire, God bless. If you're a working man, the 80-10 is 65 years of proof that even the mighty get it badly wrong. Quick pause, folks. That 80-10 story, the buyback, the GM engine, the 100-unit production run, took some genuine digging to piece together. If you appreciate the homework, the like button and the subscribe button are how you tell me to keep doing it. All right, 2 more heartbreakers to go. Number 4, John Deere 2840. Here's one that stings a little different. By 1977, Deere could do no wrong in America. The Soundguard cab era was in full swing, and the 40 series was selling like cold lemonade in July. And into that golden age rolled the 2840, an 80-horsepower machine built not in Iowa with the big tractors, but at Deere's factory in Germany. Nothing wrong with German iron as a rule. Some of the best tractors in the world come from there. But this particular one felt rushed across the ocean. Owners complained about hydraulic troubles, electrical gremlins, and a machine that ran loud and rough compared to her American-built sisters. All the Polish farmers had come to expect from Deere in those years. Missing. She wasn't a death trap, I'll be fair. She was something almost worse for the brand, a disappointment. A tractor that made lifelong green men scratch their heads and say, "This doesn't feel like a John Deere." Deere replaced her quickly, and her successors fixed most of what ailed her, which tells you the company knew it too. And that's exactly why she's on this list. The 2840 hides in the middle of Deere's best decade, wearing the same paint as tractors that earned the legend, and priced on the used market like her better sisters. A man shopping for a 1970s, Deere can easily stumble into one thinking all that era's iron is equal. It isn't. Ask any veteran mechanic which 70s models he'd take home, and watch how fast the 2840 misses the list. If your heart's set on that era, look at a 4230 or a 4040 instead. Same years, same honest styling, and a world of difference underneath. Buy the decade. Just don't buy this corner of it. Number 5, the first-year emissions machines. For the last of the heartbreakers, I'm not naming one model, I'm naming an era, and I've farmed straight through it, so this one's personal. Around 2011, new federal clean air standards came down hard on diesel equipment, and every manufacturer, Deere included, had to bolt on a whole pharmacy of emissions gear. Exhaust gas recirculation, diesel particulate filters, sensors everywhere, and automatic regeneration cycles where the tractor literally stops working to burn the soot out of its own exhaust. A few years later came the diesel exhaust fluid systems on top. Was it necessary? Maybe so. Was the technology ready? Not even close. And to be fair, this wasn't just a Deere problem. Red, blue, and every other color went through the same growing pains. But Deere sold more big tractors than anybody, so more farmers felt it in green. Those first-year machines were the guinea pigs, and the farmers who bought them paid the tuition. I watched it happen. Tractors parking themselves mid-field to run a region with rain on the radar, sensors crying wolf, and dropping a perfectly healthy engine into limp mode with a full-grain cart hooked on, sometimes in the middle of a road with traffic stacking up. And the repair bills were brutal. Emissions components on those early systems could run into the thousands, usually right after the warranty waved goodbye. Plenty of fellas traded a perfectly good older tractor for one of these and spent the next 5 years missing her. Now, the system's matured. Late model machines run dramatically better, and that's the honest truth. But here's my warning for the used market today. Those first-generation emissions tractors are hitting dealer lots right now, shiny, low-houred, and tempting. Before you sign anything, demand the emissions history. What's been replaced? What's been updated? What software campaigns have been done? On those particular machines, the engine can have 10,000 hours of life left, while the electronics are fixing to eat you alive. All right, folks, that's the 5 to walk past. Now don't go anywhere, because here come the 4 worth running toward. And if the first half of this video saves you from one bad purchase, the second half might make you money. That's a fair trade for a subscribe and a tap on that like button. Now for the iron that earned the legend. Number 1, John Deere 4020. If American farming ever votes on a national tractor, the election's already over. The John Deere 4020, built from 1964 to 1972, is simply the most beloved tractor this country has ever produced. Deere sold somewhere around 180,000 of them, and I'd wager half are still running, because killing one takes genuine dedication. My grandpa's 4020 is the tractor I learned to drive on, and she still starts today. About 95 horsepower offered in gas, diesel, or even LP versions, with a synchro range transmission that shifted honest, hydraulics that just plain worked, and one of the first really good optional power shifts, 8 speeds, shift on the go, under full load, no clutch, back when that was witchcraft. And she wasn't a one-trick machine either. Over the 4010 she came from, Deere strengthened the power shift, improved the hydraulics, and added the differential lock that let a man pull through a wet spot instead of digging a hole in it. She wasn't flashy. She was right. Right size for the work, right power for her weight, simple enough for a farm shop, stout enough for decades of it. Here's why she leads the buy list in 2026. Parts are everywhere, and I mean everywhere. Deere still supports her, and the aftermarket treats her like royalty. Every mechanic alive knows her by heart. You'll pay real money for a clean one, because collectors have seen to that. But here's the thing about a 4020, she barely depreciates. Buy right, use her for years, and sell her for what you paid or better. She'll do your chores, rake your hay, run your auger, and when your kids inherit her, she'll do theirs. In a world of tractors that need a laptop just to say good morning, the 4020 is the machine that just says yes. If you only ever buy one old tractor, buy this one. Number 2, John Deere 4440. If the 4020 is the legend, the 4440 is the king. Built from 1978 to 1982, she was the heart of what Deere's own advertising called the Iron Horse era. And to this day, if you close your eyes and picture an American farm, I'd bet the tractor you see is a 4440 with a sound guard cab. My dad ran one, and some of my earliest memories are riding the fender through fall tillage. That cab was the revolution. Quiet, sealed, heated, air-conditioned, with a radio for company. The first time a farmer could put in a 14-hour day and climb down still able to hear his wife at supper. Underneath sat about 130 horsepower of legendary Deere diesel, the quad-range transmission with 16 speeds, and reliability that became coffee shop scripture. These tractors routinely put in 10,000 hours, got one overhaul, and went back for 10,000 more. And it wasn't just talk. At the Nebraska Tractor Test Lab, where every model sold in that state had to prove its numbers in public, the 4440 posted fuel efficiency figures that embarrassed plenty of newer machines. Deere built tens of thousands of them, and the tractors outlived the ads, the dealerships that sold them, and in plenty of cases, the men who bought them. But here's the number that tells the real story. Go watch a working farm auction, not a collector sale, a working one. Clean 4440s regularly bring $30,000, $40,000, and up for a 45-year-old tractor. Fellas with money for something newer stand in the cold bidding against each other for these because they know exactly what they're getting. A machine you can fix in your own shop with no subscriptions, no software locks, and no surprises. When working men pay premium prices for old iron, that's not nostalgia. That's a verdict. The 4440 might be the smartest money in green paint, period. Number 3, John Deere 4455. Now here's the one that splits the difference, and honestly, if I could only own one tractor off this whole list, this might be her. The 4455 was built from 1989 to 1992, the final evolution of the 55 series, which itself was the last refinement of that classic iron horse platform Deere had been perfecting since the 70s. About 140 horsepower, a proven 7.6-liter 6 under the hood with simple mechanical fuel injection, and the option of a 15-speed power shift that's still one of the nicest transmissions ever put in a farm tractor. Think about what that means. By 1989, Deere had spent 2 decades polishing this basic design. Every weak point found and fixed, every casting proven, every bearing sized right. And the 4455 got all of that maturity while still coming in before the electronic era. No emissions equipment, no engine computers making decisions for you, nothing between the man and the machine but linkage and steel. She's modern where it counts. A refined sound guard cab, strong hydraulics, available mechanical front-wheel drive for loader work and wet springs, and old school where it matters. The market figured this out in a big way. Over the past several years, low-hour 4455s have become auction celebrities, with the cleanest examples crossing into six-figure territory, more than they cost brand new over 30 years ago. Machinery dealers will tell you they can sell every good one they find before it's washed. Now, most of us aren't shopping museum pieces, and a solid working 4455 with our honest hours still trades for reasonable money. But the trend line only points one direction, because they're not building any more of them. And everybody with a checkbook knows it. Buy one to work. The investment part takes care of itself. Number 4, John Deere 7810. And for the finale, the modern legend, the tractor that broke the rules of economics, the John Deere 7810, built from 1997 to 2003. I was in high school when these were new, and I remember thinking they looked like the future. Around 150 horsepower, available with a silky 19-speed power shift, a comfortable quiet cab, strong hydraulics, and a chassis that handles a loader as happily as a planter. She was the top of Deere's celebrated 7010 row crop series, a family so well regarded that farmers still speak of it in the present tense. On paper, just a very good tractor from the late 90s. In the real world, something happened with this machine that I've never seen anywhere else in equipment. She became more valuable used than she was new. That's not a figure of speech. Clean, low-hour 7810s have brought auction prices that meet or beat their original sticker more than 20 years after they left the factory. And it's not just American farmers bidding. Buyers in Europe and around the world want them just as badly, and exporters prowl the sales. So a guy from Ohio is now bidding against half the planet for a tractor that was built right here in Iowa. Think about that. A used American farm tractor with a global export market like she's a commodity crop herself. Why? Because the 7810 sits at the sweet spot in history, the last of the great ones before the complications arrived. Modern enough to be genuinely comfortable and capable on a today-sized farm, but built before the emission systems, before the sensors, before the software that locks a man out of his own machine. She's what farmers point to when they tell manufacturers, build this again. Part supply is still strong. Every diesel shop knows her, and she'll do a modern operations honest work without a single subscription. Every record-setting sale is a message stapled to a check. If you find a good one, expect to pay dear, and don't expect to regret it. She isn't just a great tractor. She's the good old days with a loader on the front. So, there it is. 5 to walk past, 4 to run toward. And if you were paying attention, there's a thread stitching the whole thing together. The worst Deeres were almost always the rushed ones. New ideas pushed out the door before the engineering caught up, whether that was 1960 or 2011. The best Deeres were the patient ones. Designs refined for years until they were simple, stout, and honest. Built so a farmer could fix them and trust them. That's not a John Deere lesson. That's an engineering lesson, and it applies to green, red, blue, and every color in between. So don't buy the badge, buy the machine. Kick the tires, pull the dipstick, check the hours against the wear on the pedals, and remember that the Deere on the hood never turned a single bolt. Even the greatest name in farm equipment has a few models it would rather you forgot, and a few so good the company may never top them. Now it's your turn, folks. What's the best John Deere you've ever owned, and the worst? Drop both in the comments, because I read every single one, and I'll bet money the same few model numbers keep showing up. And if this saved you from a bad auction bid or pointed you toward a good one, pay it back the cheap way. Subscribe and hit that like button so the next guy shopping green iron finds this before he signs anything. Take care out there.